We all understand what cringe is, yeah? We've all cringed. We've all sent a message to the wrong person. We've all heard a recording of our own voice, yeah? And if you've spent any time watching my content, then you're very familiar with cringe. What the hell? We're gonna go through all of the cringe eras since the Big Bang. We think we know cringe, but do we really? We are so experienced with cringe nowadays that even saying something is cringe in itself is cringe. And me acknowledging that it's cringe is also cringe. But then me saying it's cringe. Let's go back on a little trip down memory lane, yeah? Bit of nostalgia. And while we're doing that, we're gonna rank the cringe eras on a tier list. Yeah? Ever heard of it? No, it's not gonna make you cry. Why would you think that? Tier list. And there's 3 things that make up cringe or a cringe-o. And we're going to cover those 3 things as we go through the history of how it's evolved to where we are today, where there's clips like this. Believe it or not, but cringe actually isn't a new thing. It's been around since humans, which is a very freaking long time, actually. An actual term cringe, or as it started, cringing, if you were to be an absolute goofball and fall in the battlefield. They'll go, that's cringe. That's fucking cringe. Idiot. Fast forward to the 16th century, instead of being a physical thing of... The word cringing became an emotional thing. You actually bent over in cringe. I'm about to go over there, so grab food, grab drink, come back. We're going.
Pause. Before we get into it, let me know down below which is your favourite cringe era. And don't forget to subscribe.
But before we continue, I nearly forgot. We've got a rank. We're going to pretty much just sum up. Got a chip in my throat. Falling on a battlefield. Yeah. Cringe. We're going to smack the olden era, the forefather of cringe, in average. Happy? Cringe comedy really started taking off in the 2000s. I mean, you've got The Office, Curb Your Enthusiasm, Sacha Baron Cohen, My Wave. See, the beauty of cringe comedy is it taps into that uncomfortable part of your soul. It's those embarrassing situations we can all relate to, you know, like going to school without your pants on. All the teachers and the kids are laughing at you. The police have you in handcuffs because you're not allowed around the kids with your pants off, with your frickin'... We're going to throw that one in the great tier. Great job. Round of applause. See, as you can see, my friends, the term cringe exploded post-internet era. It doesn't look like sitting and poking fun at people is going anywhere anytime soon. See, most of early cringe on the internet came from YouTube. Does anyone remember that video of that my video for Brianna 7 months? Oh, revolt. Have a look at that.
I hope you enjoy watching this, baby girl.
Some of the OG videos that we've seen from this era, you've got Rebecca Black's Friday, Chocolate Rain, Leave Britney Alone, you've got Fred. In this era, you also had shit like flash mobs. Remember flash mobs? This era is hard to put anywhere but S tier. Following time period that I want to talk about is between 2016 to 2018. Because this time period has so many different eras, I'm going to rank each era on the tier list by themselves. To start off, you have the... This brought about H3H3, Leafy is here, iDubbbz, all these cringe reaction type videos where people react to people and bully them. And I don't know who would do that and what scumbag would make a commentary reaction video making fun of someone else on the internet. That's when cringe compilations became massive. It was like your SJW cringe compilation. Look at this cringe person with red hair talking. This one for me has to go down in the D tier. But guess what? There's even more to come. Because you've got the... everyone's favorite era. You have Lil Pump saying Gucci Gang. That took up about 80% of this time frame. Whoa Vicky, Bad Baby, Supreme Patty, a bunch of other people, very particular looking people. Remember those Clout goggles, Clout sunnies everyone wore? Oh, God. This is up there. It definitely is. It's either an S or an A tier, in my opinion. I think it's a high A tier. So I was going to include Vine, but I thought about it. It actually wasn't that cringe, was it? We all enjoyed it. It's very cringe now, looking back on it, but that's not how we do things around here. Doofus. But what happened with Vine's downfall is it created one of the worst internet errors that there's ever been. So we're talking Logan Paul, we're talking Jake Paul, we're talking Rice Gum, diss tracks, Team 10, you name it. So obviously you had Logan Paul and his big oopsie doopsie in the forest, if you will. He was always in your face. You couldn't go anywhere. It felt like he was always hanging around. You've got Jake Paul with his Everyday Bro and all of his songs. And this is also when That's Cringe really started popping off with Cody and Noel. So this was a big, big era. That era, I think, belongs in low S tier. Now we are coming up on the last time frame. I've described this as just 2019 plus, because it's still going. Most of this, I would say 99% of cringe stuff is thanks to TikTok. I mean, just look at that.
Off the top of the dome.
That was actually quite good. Smack bang into 2019, we had you had your Charlie Caramellos, your Little Huddies, Addison Rae. How could I forget Addison Bay? It was pretty cringe. Those guys were pretty cringe, I do remember that. 2019 phase of TikTok, it was cringe, but it definitely is not as cringe as some of these big dogs on the board. I would say that's a C tier. The next biggest era to come out of the internet following TikTok was the... Fortnite was the hottest game in 2017, 2018, and we all loved it. But there was one cataclysmic event that started the downfall of the Fortnite we all knew and loved, and that was Old Town Road. This really kicked off the switch in demographic in the Fortnite scene. Flossing backpack kids, dabbing, and eventually hitting the fucking guide. It also kicked off Fortnite becoming a mega game. You see toys in Target and shit. Fortnite llamas. You know, kids can't be cringe. We all did that sort of stuff, right? And the older you get, the more you realize it's not cringe, it's just kids being kids. But at that point in time, it was cringe. It was very cringe. Fortnite goes in low A. Next up on the list, we have the... It was big early on, the alpha males and the big bald having men that I've spoken about previously on this channel, if you want to go check that out. But it kind of fell off until last year, and it was pretty not easy to watch or listen to if you weren't agreeing with him or a part of his fan base. So much of that is D to me. That gets a big alpha male D. Let me introduce you to a little thing called irony. Our sense of humor has been knocked down so far that something that is cringe now wasn't cringe 5 years ago, and vice versa. Something that was cringe 5 years ago is now really funny. I mean, look at that. That's hilarious. So with this on TikTok, we've now entered... This is where you've got people doing try not to cringe challenges at each other, almost recognizing what makes something cringe and reverting back to it and doing exactly that. But because there's that self-awareness, it's funny. Right now, I was just thinking of putting that in F tier because it's not cringe. But because it's been so overdone in the last 6 months, I find myself just scrolling past it. So for that reason, I think it's got to go in C tier. Remember those 3 things that I mentioned earlier about cringe? They're very important. So the first aspect of cringe is a lack of self-awareness. Okay? Nearly every video that you're going to find online that's cringe, it's very evident that there's a lack of self-awareness. The second thing, socially unacceptable things. And then the last thing you've got is embarrassment.